Good evening, everyone. How are you? Happy Friday. It's come round once again. Cheers. Um, yes, an eventful week, it has to be said, in the Robson household. I'll tell you more about that in a second. First of all, as I usually do about this time of night, let me tell you exactly what's going to be happening on the channel this week. Tomorrow is the usual kind of fare. I've been having a little bit of a jam. I tend to do this on a Saturday now. It all kind of spewed out from the lockdown jam that I did at the beginning of all this current shenanigans. Anyway, it's sort of become like a thing where I'm doing like a particular solo in a particular genre each week. And tomorrow is all about the most tragic and dark and melancholy and sad sounding scale of all, which, funnily enough, I had great fun doing that solo. Then on Monday, we're looking at an absolute belter of a classic solo from Mick Ronson. So any ideas what that might be? Tuesday, we're looking at a guitar. A chap called Craig, who's probably going to be kicking around on here at some point. Apologies if you're already in, Craig, and I've missed you. Oh, there he is. There's Craig. Yes, Craig came round today with his Gordon Smith GS2 Deluxe guitar, and I've just finished shooting the video for that and putting that all together. Wednesday, there's going to be some kind of lesson type video. I was thinking maybe a lesson on sort of chord changes and songwriting and that sort of thing, but I am open to suggestions. Then Thursday, we're going to look at like an entry level kind of newbie pedal board, kind of continuing on from what I did this week, where we were looking at the ultimate rig for, or kind of different rigs for newbie guitar players. So this coming Thursday, we're looking at pedal boards for people who are just starting to get into that sort of thing. What effects do you need? Which ones are the ones to choose, and so on. And then Friday, we're back on the beer again. So that's what's happening this week. So I'll just the chat is going by really quick, so if I miss you, I apologise. But good evening and cheers to everyone who's turned up once again. I usually say this at the end of the stream, but I'll say it at the beginning. Thank you, everyone, for turning up. It is it never ceases to amaze me how many people are prepared to kind of give up an hour of the Friday evening to come and watch a fat lad drink beer. No, Brad, not once bitten, twice shy, mate. No, it's. Well, I'll let the cat out the bag. It's that short but beautifully executed and perfectly formed solo from Life on Mars. So there you go. Now then, on to events that have happened this week, or one event in particular. Last week on the live stream, someone posed the question, what do you think of the Harley Benton HB35, the semi-acoustic guitar? And I said, yeah, great guitar. I used to have one, but I had to sell it because the dog got ill, and although we've got pet insurance on him, there was an excess to pay on the insurance policy. And then the conversation moved on, and I never thought anything more about it. But after a few more of these on the Friday, it had to be said, I woke up on the Saturday morning and checking my email with my first cup of coffee, and I see this, order confirmation from Toman, and immediately, I thought, what have I done? Okay, let's check the bank balance, let's check the credit cards, but I hadn't ordered anything. And there was another email in my inbox, a chap called Bob. And if you're watching, Bob, I just want to publicly say thank you so much. A chap called Bob had seen me saying that, I had to sell a guitar to pay for the dog's vet's bills, and he's bought me a replacement. And what do you do? What do you say about that? It's staggeringly. I mean, Joe, a Skype student of mine, bought me that deluxe Nashville Telecaster a while ago, and I am incredibly grateful. But the thing is, I know Joe, and we've we've spoken. You know, me and Bob, we've had the odd sort of email exchange and stuff occasionally over a few months, but we've never actually met. We've never actually spoken. Nothing. And for someone to just go and buy effectively a complete stranger, a bloke off the internet, a new guitar, I think that's just staggeringly generous, and I'm more grateful than I can shake a stick at. It's just ridiculous generosity, and I'm really, really, really touched. And you know, thank you, Bob, if you're watching. It isn't here yet, Deco. It's not here. It was one of these things on Tourman where, you know, you order it now, but we'll ship it when it comes into stock. I just got the shipping confirmation today. Evening, Kieran. How are you, mate? Yes. Oh, I should just mention as well that he hasn't just bought me the HB35. He's bought me the Plus model just for good measure. What a gentleman! What an absolute gentleman! It is so easy to turn on the TV or read a newspaper these days and just be convinced that the world is full of nastiness and meanness, isn't it? And it's just nice every now and again to have, you know, to see the other side of the human race. And I genuinely am touched. I can't tell you how I am. Bob, 620 quid on our dog last week. Just say, leave the bloke alone. He's done his bit. Hi, John. I purchased a Harley Benton CST24 last week. It's awesome. Could not be happier. Yeah, they're great guitars. They really are. And I don't just mean great guitars for the money. They are good guitars. It's that diminishing returns thing, isn't it? You know, I mean, we all accept that, you know, there's not a lot of difference, for instance, between, you know, a £600-700 guitar and a £2,000 or £3,000 guitar. It just gets, the more you pay, the less difference you get. It's just, you know, as I say, you're chasing diminishing returns. And, you know, I think those Harley Benton guitars really do prove that. I mean, it's, yes, they do sometimes leave the quality control and the final setup to the, you know, they contract that out, don't they, to the customer. And, you know, there are occasionally some issues with setups and stuff like that. But you know what? The main kind of reason why they're so cheap is because they've cut out all the middlemen. You know, it doesn't go from factory to importer to wholesaler to retailer to you. It just goes factory to retailer to you, which is why they're so cheap. Yes, thank you, Deco. I heard that the TE20 is getting a string-through body soon. Oh, that'll be interesting. Yes, I mean, it is the one thing that I'm a bit nervous about doing because I don't have a drill press to do the string-through conversion on a cheap Telecaster, on a budget Telecaster, shall we say? And I'm not sure it affects the sound that much in terms of, you know, people say it has an effect on the tone. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. What it definitely has an effect on is the feel of the guitar, and that affects how you play it, and that affects the tone. Your guitar came in 2 pieces today. Contacted Tom and they want me to pay to send. Oh, right. I wouldn't have that, mate. No. I think you've probably got a case there to, you know, look at trading standards or something. I don't know. I'm not an expert. Colin, what's that, Colin? The HHTE20 has popped up on Tourman due in 1 to 2 weeks. Yeah, I wondered when that would happen. You know, it was the one thing that they didn't have in the kind of like real rock bottom category in terms of guitars, because they've got like a HSS Strat, the ST20, whatever it is. You know, it did seem, when I think about it, a little bit of an obvious gap that they'd, you know, kind of that needed filling, and I guess they've done it. Shout out for Songcrafters. Many have got yes, I must get myself onto Songcrafters at the moment. If you don't know Songcrafters, is a fantastic forum. I used to be on there all the time, but I don't have time to I don't have time to conduct a social life at the moment, let alone an online social life. It's full of really, really great people doing kind of home recording, and it's sort of equal parts kind of tech stuff, how to kind of use the gear that you've got, and help and assistance with home recording technology, and people just posting music that they've recorded. Very, very friendly bunch of people, and I can't recommend them highly enough. So use a square to line the drill up as it goes through the body. That's a good point. Yes, I'd never thought of that. I've seen people do it where they drill halfway through from one side and halfway through from like the back side as well. But you only have to be a little bit out in your measurements, isn't it? But I suppose that's why they say measure twice, cut once. So is your custom guitar nearing completion? It's edging close. I just haven't had a chance to do the update video this week because I've been mad busy. But it is coming. I'm going to try and get that up over the weekend at some point. So we shall, yes. Basically, the last you saw of it was, all of the basic bits were cut out the neck. The body was finished with the top glued on, and the fretboard was planed and the fret slots were cut and everything. Well, the last I saw, the neck and fretboard are now married. They are together, and I'm hearing that that the neck is going to be on the body, and pickup routes and everything are getting done imminently. So yes, it's essentially no longer a few bits of wood. It is now a guitar in the making. Oh, cheers, Sean. Cheers. I will. That's Sean there piping up saying, give me a shout if you need a drill press. Yes, I might just do that if ever I have a string through conversion to do. I shall see. Although, I keep saying this. I don't envisage me getting any more guitars beyond the ones that are, heading my way at the moment. What does everybody think of vintage guitars? They are brilliant. They are really, really, really good. I've played a few of them. I've had what vintage guitars have I had? I had the vintage AV3, which was like a semi-acoustic kind of thing. Beautiful guitar, really, really nice tones out of that. I had the VS6, which was the SG one. I had the V6, which was the Strat one. I've had the V100, which is the Les Paul one. I never had the V52, the Telecaster one. Yeah, I know, Anton. Yes, I always say I don't want any more guitars, and then just something happens, and then suddenly I do. Vintage guitars. I think they are still. I think they are still. They've got Trev Wilkinson's input into them. I know he has his own guitars, Fret King, as well. And interestingly, my vintage AV3, when Vintage stopped doing the AV series, which was like sort of an updated version of classic designs. And obviously they weren't selling as well as just the kind of classic designs, people weren't wanting an updated version of a Les Paul. They just wanted something that was more like a Les Paul. But the AV3, which was sort of an updated version of a 335, with kind of better top fret access and, single coil switching on it and stuff. That when Vintage stopped making it, it cropped up again, but this time as a Fret King, and I think it became, I might be mistaken, I think it became the Gordon Giltrap model for when he plays electric guitar. Yes, Craig, you can. Well, Craig, you were telling me about your collection of guitars when you were around here today. Yes, you're the man who knows about having enough guitars, aren't you? You got some real beauties there. Anyway, excuse me, I don't want to be letting this beer get warm. By the way, yes, tonight's tipple of choice is the old Saint Michael. That's the one. This is courtesy of Craig, who not only did he bring a rather gorgeous guitar round for me to have a play with today, he also brought me some beers. So it would be rude not to drink them, wouldn't it? That's what I'm saying anyway. Okie dokie. Yes. So any suggestions for the kind of Wednesday lesson video? Any suggestions on what I should be doing on the Wednesday video today? I'm thinking I've done loads of videos on kind of this lead guitar technique or that lead guitar technique. Cheers, Craig. And I'm just thinking, is it time to do something more kind of songwriting, something a little bit more about creating the chord sequence that fits behind them? I don't know. Let me know what you think. Or, you know, are there some masochists out there who want yet another music theory video? I am still in the process of doing a Udemy course on music theory, but it's kind of stalled at the moment because I'm just having to keep up the momentum with the YouTube videos because well, let's not be coy about this. The YouTube videos are earning me more money than the Udemy courses, so I'm just kind of, you know, as a purely hard-headed business decision, I've decided to kind of keep up the output on YouTube. Tried any Belgian beers, says Alistair. Yes, many years ago, when I used to live in the Lake District, there was a pub, and its name is seared into my memory. It was the Mason's Arms, it was called, in the Lake District, up in Cartmel somewhere. And they used to sell all of these mad Belgian beers. I seem to remember there was one called Duvel. Okay, a lesson on blues improvisation. Okay, we can do that. There was Duvel, and there was this other really kind of idiotic one called EKU 28, which, you know, if you had three kind of regular size bottles of that, you were absolutely on your back, giggling like an infant. It was just ridiculous. I think it was something like about 14% alcohol by volume, which is stronger than most wine. Delirium Tremens is a pretty good Belgian beer, yes. Evening, Dara. How long from when you started guitar to when you thought, I've got this? That's a brilliant question. That is, I don't know. You see, because I started playing guitar when I was about 11, and when you're that age, there's a new craze comes along every 5 minutes, you know. And if it wasn't the guitar, it was what else was I into? Stamp collecting for a while, and rugby. You know, I was determined I was going to become a rugby player. That didn't last. And all manner of things, and the guitar just was a passing phase that never passed. And I think I always just kind of knew. It was just that thrill of being able to pick up a musical instrument and get something musical sounding out of it it's never left me, to be honest. Yeah, that's a good one, Dara. You never reach the stage when you say, I've got this. You know, I mean, it's just, I'm always aware of my own deficiencies. as a just as a guitarist, I suppose. There are, you only have to go on YouTube and you'll see some child and you think, I've got shirts older than that, and they can play absolute circles around you, and that's what spurs me on. I don't see that as being demoralizing. I think, okay, better pull my socks up a bit whenever I see something like that. So it's just never ever, that fascination of music has never. I've got to tell you as well, it was always going to be, I suppose, for me, all of these passing phases, stamp collecting, rugby, the guitar, whatever. It was always going to be something musical for me, because essentially my earliest memories of, like, from when I was a toddler are music related in one way or another. "35 guitars, Malcolm. Very few of which are expensive, but I live close to Martin Booth, who was a great luthier." Yes. Now, didn't Martin Booth, didn't he used to work for Yamaha? Didn't he do the, what was it called? It was like, I can't remember the make of it, but it was like in the late 80s when the whole world was going absolutely kind of super strat, pointy headstock, Floyd Rose mad. He made this guitar, I think if it's him, made this guitar for Yamaha that was just, it was like a sort of scaled down 335 shape, but solid body, beautiful, just kind of classic, kind of Les Paul kind of solid body style guitar. And that, I remember reading a review of it in Guitarist magazine, and they were saying, yeah, this is going to be an excellent guitar. And then of course Yamaha kind of discontinued it. The Yamaha MSG, that's the one. Yes. Yes. Mr. Wainscott, or S, or whatever your first name is. Yes, that was pretty much the journey for me. Also called the Image guitar, was it? I didn't know that. Yeah. Famer, I wouldn't say, I mean, I have tried that brand of guitar, Chapman, and I wouldn't say it was the worst guitar I've ever played, but it's, I don't know. I mean, I just didn't see what the fuss was about. Basically, it wasn't particularly well set up, and you could blame, the shop for that, I suppose. I don't mind a bit of fret sprout and kind of lumpy frets on a 200 quid guitar, but on something that's, kind of like double or more than that, then it's just, I just think it's a bit, that should have been sorted out before it got to the customer. Beer Hounds beer reviews. Cheers from Orange County, California. Well, cheers from a very sunny and almost, you could describe, warm Redcar. I must say, when I say warm in Redcar, you got to take that in the context of a warm day for us is about 20 degrees. So that's probably winter for you guys, isn't it? My Squire, Malcolm saying the Squire came well set up out of the box. Yeah. I mean, the Squires and the Squires, though, aren't there? Actually, some of the nicest playing Squires I've played lately have been the Affinity ones. So you could strip the not junk pickups, but the built down to a price pickups and hardware and stuff off those, and end up with a nice guitar. But the classic vibes, the only thing I don't like about classic vibes is not the build quality, not the setup, not the feel or anything like that. It's just I don't like a 21 fret neck. I just, it's just it's something I'm irrationally phobic, well, not phobic, but it's something I just don't like. On a guitar, I prefer a 22 fret neck, as I may have mentioned in a few videos, and so that would be it. I wouldn't say I would turn my nose up at a Squire classic vibe, but it's just I would prefer the 22 fret neck. How much does the look of a guitar matter? I would like to say it shouldn't matter, but then again, I have a well-publicized dislike of Fender offset bodies. Jaguars, Jazzmasters, Mustangs, those kind of guitars. It's just the only exception to that is the Fender Music Master, and that has a special place in my heart because that was the first Fender guitar I ever played. Back in the days when you just never dreamed that you would even be in the same room as a Fender guitar. I remember, well, unless you went to the guitar shop and stared longingly at one. But there was a lad I was at college with had an old beaten up Fender Music Master that he'd hacked with a chisel. He'd hacked a DiMarzio super distortion into the bridge position on it, and it was like, amongst the guitarists that I was at college with, he was the guy that, see him over there, he's actually got a Fender, and that's how sort of elevated the status of Fender guitars were at the time. And I actually got to play his a few times, and that was a special thing. But generally speaking, I don't like the look of the Jaguars and Jazzmasters and stuff like that. So I would like to say the look of a guitar doesn't matter, but it kind of does. Yeah, those TE90 QMs. Is that the like the red one with the quilted maple top and the two P90s? Beautiful guitars, those. Way back ages ago, I had one in here for review, very kindly loaned to me by one of my students, Nigel, and beautiful guitar. It just looked $1 million, and a great sounding guitar. The only thing that was a bit of a letdown was the pickups. This was still in the days when they were still putting Wilkinson pickups in them, and I know there was some issue about there being a lot of fake Wilkinson pickups around, and I think some of them made their way into that guitar because they were a bit muddy sounding. But a good kind of semi-acoustic Telecaster with a pair of P90s that looks like that for that sort of money. Dearie me, what a bargain. The best guitar you'll ever own is the one you can't look at without picking up. Yep. I'd agree with that. It's a very personal thing, isn't it? Your choice of guitar. And I think a lot of people, if you say that, oh, I don't like this style of guitar, if that's someone else's favorite style of guitar and they absolutely love it, it's very easy to take it personally, isn't it? You can buy a cheap Harley Benton and whack a couple of iron gear pickups in it, and it's a real rock machine, says Ozzy. Yes, I think you've done that, haven't you, Ozzy? I mean, talking about pickups, those iron gear pickups, I've got one in that sort of bits and pieces, knackered old Telecaster at the back there, the steel twin. And that guitar absolutely sings. I should play it more, actually, because a beautiful tone on it, but I've got it set up with a kind of a high action for playing slide because it just absolutely sings as a slide guitar. What do I think of stainless steel frets? I like them, but I have concerns about them. The only guitar I've ever owned that had stainless steel frets in was one of the Harley Benton Fusions, and I don't know if this was the stainless steel frets that were causing it, but there was something of a brittleness to the sound that I could never quite EQ out. It might have been the pickups, I don't know, but I've played other guitars with those Roswell pickups in it, and I didn't notice that sort of brittleness to the top end. I do know Paul Reed Smith don't put stainless steel frets in their guitar because Paul, who, like him or not, he is the creator of, some fantastic guitars that are very well respected. and coveted by many. He says that stainless steel frets do have that kind of effect on the tone. My only other concern about them is, yes, they are. They do require less maintenance in terms of fret dresses and so on and so forth. But when they do require maintenance, it's a much bigger job, because it's a much harder metal than the standard nickel silver fret wire. And there is a part of me that thinks, is it is it really solving a problem? My main guitar for many years, the one guitar that was my main guitar for longer than any other, was a Stratocaster that it was one of those late 80s Japanese vintage reissue Strats, and in pretty short order it got some EMG pickups in it, and it had a refret. And Jim Cairns, actually a well-respected luthier from this part of the world, sadly no longer with us, he refretted it with jumbo gauge wire. And from, I think that was in about 92 when he refretted it, till about 2004, 2005. That was my go-to guitar. And it never needed a fret dress. It didn't need kind of any other work doing to it. And it was getting played every day quite extensively. So, if a guitar can, with just regular non-stainless steel frets, can, kind of have that sort of lifespan and still be in good shape when I got rid of it, then, I don't see what problem stainless steel frets are solving, to be honest. You got a gig tomorrow night, first time using your Telecaster, but with an acoustic amp. It sounds okay to me. What do you think? Well, if it sounds okay to you, Ozzy, then, that's fine. There's an acoustic amp is, not going to sound like an electric guitar amp, but if you like the way that your guitar sounds through an acoustic amp, I mean, an acoustic amp is basically like plugging your guitar straight into the desk, isn't it? Because it's got that sort of flat response. And probably one of the most famous guitar solos played like that is Gilmour's solo from Another Brick in the Wall. He was playing that P90 Gold top that he has, or had. I don't know if he sold it as part of that big auction he did. But that he plugged that P90 Gold top straight into the desk for the solo on Another Brick in the Wall. So yeah, if you like the sound, mate, crack on. Okay, you had your Guitar Tech install new pickups in your Harley Benton Fusion and tweak the action. Eruption pickups, screen PRS. Okay, fair enough. What do P90s give that I don't get with humbuckers or single coils? Thinking of a Harley Benton DC Junior. Okay, Jeff, my mate Jeff from France there. P90s are, it's a cliche to say so, but they are like kind of, if you like the brightness of a single coil but want the fatness of a humbucker, then P90s are kind of one way of getting that. I would also say that like Filtertrons are another good solution to that. They've got the best of both worlds. Of course, they're single coils, so they're not noise cancelling. Oh, you got a Sonic 8 rock stage with a cab sim. Well, crack on, mate. Yeah, there you go. The P90s, they are single coils, so they have that kind of single coil hum if that's an issue for you. But they're like a fat single coil sound, basically. Fatness of a humbucker, but with the tone of a single coil. So, it's kind of like a halfway house between. Can I explain active pickups? Yes, they have a little... the idea behind active pickups is that in order to get the volume out of a magnetic pickup, okay, it needs to be closer to the strings, but then the magnetism of the pickup tends to inhibit the vibration of the strings, so they can be, so it can actually, there's that sort of sweet spot where the pickup is high enough and close enough to the strings to get the maximum volume without being too close, that the magnet affects the vibration of the strings and actually kills the sustain. Active pickups are less magnetic, but they have a little preamp built into them, which actually boosts the signal, so you're getting more output. And of course, I used to use EMG pickups in a Strat that I had for many years, as I said, and absolutely zero noise from them, no single coil noise at all. But then the purists will say that you don't get a proper single coil sound out of them. So it's EMG pickups, they are very, very sort of hi-fi like in sound, very kind of pure sounding pickups. And the one criticism that you could possibly have of them is that, it doesn't matter what guitar. Pat Travers actually summed it up brilliantly. He said you could put EMG pickups in a shovel and it would still sound like a guitar with EMG pickups. So there is that. It doesn't kind of, you lose possibly some of the character of the sound of the guitar, but they are noise free and give you more output. A Layla Smoothie with 3 P90s, a volume for each, no switches. I've never heard of a Lake. Oh, sorry, I thought you said Layla there. Lake Smoothie. I beg your pardon. It's old age is a terrible thing, I need to get these glasses upgraded. I've never heard of a Lake Smoothie. See, there you go. You learn something new every day. Craig's got EMG in one of his guitars and they're very high gain, but they do sound good. Yes. Excuse me. I mustn't let this beer get warm. It would be a shame to let good, because normally I'm just on the supermarket stuff, but thanks to Craig, I'm on the posh stuff tonight. Although the fridge is full of supermarket stuff, so I'll be going on to that later when my palate isn't quite so discerning. Yeah, I mean, the thing with EMG pickups is they are, they were adopted by all the kind of metal boys, weren't they? Kind of Metallica famously used them. But the first guy I ever saw playing them was a guy called, I've spoken about him before on the stream, a guy called Andy Power, who is an absolute monster of a guitar player. He's on the circuit round here, and he's like, he's taken the whole kind of guitar tuition thing as well, and kind of done more with it than I have. Really, he's now kind of a highfalutin college lecturer in kind of music and stuff. But I first saw him in 1990 playing in a blues band. Into a Fender Twin with a Strat with EMG pickups in it and getting an absolutely monster sound. Yes, the Fishman Fluence pickups there. Who uses them? Greg I'm never sure how to pronounce his name. Is it Greg Koch or Koch? Or Cock or whatever. Anyway, monster Telecaster kind of country blues, rock, jazz fusion kind of player. If you don't know him, check him out. He did a fantastic interview with Andertons a while ago, or maybe getting on for a year ago, more even. But his guitar has those Fishman Fluence pickups in it, and he gets an absolute monster tone. Yeah, EMG's on the Music Man Lukather model. Yeah, well, I mean, Steve Lukather used EMG pickups back as long as I can remember. I mean, it went back in the days when he was using Valley Arts guitars. When everybody had a mullet, even me. He was, he was using, kind of EMG pickups then. Pronounced like Coke. I didn't know that. Thank you. That saves some embarrassment if ever I meet him, doesn't it? Where are we? Yeah, mini humbuckers. Yes. Now, I had my first ever Les Paul had mini humbuckers in it. I had my first ever really good guitar. I mean, I went from a satellite Les Paul copy when I was 17 to a guy I knew at college had an actual Gibson Les Paul, and this was the 80s. Okay, so Les Pauls were kind of, the most unfashionable guitar because they didn't have a Floyd Rose and they didn't have, kind of, a ridiculously day-glow coloured paint job. And I blew my entire student grant check one term on buying a Gibson this Gibson Les Paul Deluxe from this guy I was at college with, and then had to basically survive on beans on toast for an entire term. But I had a Les Paul, and it was a Les Paul Deluxe, and it was knackered and battered, and it wasn't in good shape at all. But it was a Gibson, and it was mine, and I was very happy with that. First live stream I've managed to join since you started doing them. I don't usually finish work till 6 o'clock, so catch the replay. Really always look forward to them. Thank you. Well, thank you, Mark. That is very nice of you to say so. As I say, I just sit here for, an hour or thereabouts and kind of blether away at a webcam and just kind of spew out this stream of consciousness while I'm drinking beer. And, how many have we got watching at the moment? 154 people. That's 156 now since I said that. And I just, it staggers me that you kind of turn up and watch me indulge myself. But, thank you. I can just about tell the difference between humbuckers and single coils, but when I hear comparisons of pickups of the same type, I can't hear any difference. Yeah. Well, I mean, the differences are there, but I'll tell you where I get, much as I love Spectre Media Group, Glenn Fricker's channel, and I haven't watched his video from today, actually. I haven't had time, but I will do. I'll probably catch up with that later while she's watching EastEnders. But much as I love his channel, he will kind of be testing some kind of plug-in or technique or something, and he'll say, and listen to this, it's completely different. And I'm just thinking, okay, Glenn, if you say so. So I have some sympathy with that point of view, mate. I will say that when it comes to pickups, I don't hear a lot of difference between, the reason my signature guitar is going to have Vanson pickups in it is because I've got them in a guitar that I own already. I like the sound of them. And, so it's like, well, okay, let's go with the devil sort of thing. But I can't tell the difference between like a 30 quid pickup and 100 quid pickup, like when you get into the sort of hand wound sort of stuff and stuff, I just can't tell the difference. Admittedly, I'm playing these days into a computer with amp sims, and maybe, that is, not showing the difference. But then again, many bands these days record entire albums with amp sims. Many bands gig these days. What's that, Craig? You traded your Les Paul for a JCM 900. Yeah, that's it. So there you go. When you see bands on festivals and they're stood in front of like a wall of Marshalls, those are most of the time just dummy cabs, and they're actually plugged into a Kemper or an Axifex or something, or a Helix. You know, so it's given that the majority of guitar tones that you either hear live or hear on records these days are coming from amp sims. If I can't tell the difference between, you know, an expensive branded pickup and a cheap kind of OEM pickup plugged into those same amp sims, then, you know, I'm thinking, well, is it, for me, is it worth the extra money? And the answer is no. You can't watch him with all of his bass here. That's Glenn from Spectre Media. Yes, I know what you're saying. Your Kent Armstrongs sound different. Well, fair enough, mate. If you know, if you hear the difference, then they're the right pickups for you. That's all I'm saying. You know, the only point I'm making is that, and I said this earlier, guitars are very, very personal things that you have to find the right one for you. And you know, if you can hear the difference, then it's the right guitar and it's the right pickup for you, mate. There is an attenuator thingy that lets you play your guitar at full whack but quiet. Yes, I mean they've been around for ages, Ozzy. Some of Status Quo's Marshalls were Vox amps. Yes, yeah, I did. I noticed that actually. You know, when you see them live, it's a wall of Marshalls behind them, but you're hearing Vox. You know, it's. Yeah, Boss GT 100 straight into the PA with earbuds, no amp. Yeah, the last lot of gigs I did which was when was it, about kind of dealing with about 6 years ago. I was just using the Tone Lab into the PA and getting a fantastic sound out of it, it has to be said. Your Positive Grid Spark 40 turned up this week. Going to spend this weekend getting to know her. Yeah, that'd be great. I'm still on the fence about the Spark. Actually, I'm hearing nothing but good things about it on the whole. Although I'm starting now. Since I said that, I am starting to get people coming back at me and saying, "Oh well, you know, he is kind of some negative points about it in various." But on the whole, it's nothing but good stuff I'm hearing about the Spark. The only thing is, it's like, do I need what it does? And I'm thinking, well, it costs money, and would I be better off spending that money on something else? You know, that's what I'm thinking of. Yeah, that'll be an interesting video. Yamaha versus the THR, the Spark versus the THR. You know, I don't know. It's because when you see that, as it was pointed out to me, when you see the price on the Positive Grid website, you've then got to put shipping and taxes onto that, and it kind of makes it more expensive than I was thinking it was. And you know, I might say, you know, give it a little bit of time for the dust to settle and wait for some used ones to start cropping up on eBay. And if I can get one, you know, for a decent price in the fullness of time, maybe a year or so's time, I might think about it then. But at the moment, it's just like, I don't really kind of need what it does. Like, shall I tell you? And this is a bit sad, I suppose. One of the things that puts me off it is the voice control. I just don't like the idea of talking to a machine. It's none of this kind of tinfoil hat stuff where people think that it's going to be kind of, you know, kind of monitoring your conversations and stuff like that, like what people say about the Alexa and stuff. It's just, I think I've watched 2001: A Space Odyssey too many times, and there's just that thing of like, you know, HAL, the computer, and he's talking to a piece of technology. It just gives me the creeps a bit. That's all I can say. It's completely irrational, but there you go. Apparently, Tony Iommi's Laney had a Mesa behind it. Don't know how true that is, but it was in a guitarist mag a few years ago. Shall I tell you who I went to a gig and saw them using Mesa Boogie amps? Whole wall of Mesa Boogies behind them. And this is going back to like 1990. The Shadows. And the thing is, like, you know, Hank is up there on stage and he's plugged into a Mesa Boogie and you're hearing that kind of Hank Marvin Strat plus Vox AC30 sound, and you're thinking, okay, you know, it was him, and I think he was playing through. It'll have been a Boogie Mark IV roundabout then, I suppose, and you know, like a couple of extension cabs, and Bruce on the other side of the stage was doing the same thing, and it was like it didn't sound any different to like the classic Shadows sound. So there you go. Dearie me, yes, it's going down rather well tonight, that has to be said. You have a chance of buying a Black Star 412 cabinet, the brains of 100, and it's about 900, everything. Is allowed to be 1,000. Sorry, I misread that. I have a chance of buying a Black Star 412 cabinet, the brains of 100, and it's about 900 tax, and everything is allowed to be 1,000. Okay, fair enough. I'm not quite sure it's the beer that's stopping me understanding that. Fair enough, mate. Crack on. Nick Johnson used Mesa with a fantastic clean sound. Guitars will get you through times of no money better than money will get you through times of no guitars. Okay, that is a fantastic quote. I'm going to use that. Yes, indeed. Would love to see Hank Marvin with an Ibanez Gem. Okay, let me tell you a story. Okay, there was a Fender clinic, and Yngwie Malmsteen was going to be at this clinic demonstrating his signature model, and it was Yngwie Malmsteen and special guest. And picture the scene: the lights go down, dry ice, smoke, long, slow minor chord on a synthesizer, you know, kind of like that kind of keyboardy string synthesizer minor chord sort of sound. And you hear from off stage, because there's no one on stage yet, but you hear this ferocious, shreddy kind of sweep picking harmonic minor kind of neoclassical guitar playing going on. So I think, okay, Yngwie's getting ready. Yngwie's going to be coming out shortly. And do you know who walked out on stage doing that kind of shreddy guitar playing? I'll tell you, Hank. Hank Marvin came out doing that. And you think, what? You know. So there you go. Yes, he's a fantastic guitar player, is Hank. Yeah. Where are we? Steve Hoggett. Oh, Stevie in. I haven't seen Steve. Are you in there, Steve? That's something else that's coming up on the channels pretty soon, by the way. I shall be doing a bit of an interview and a bit of a natter, probably a bit more of a long-form video. Good evening, Steve. How are you? I shall be doing a bit more of a long-form video. We're having an interview with Steve, and he's going to be talking about his career as a bass player and producer and studio technician and, you know, kind of lecturer and all manner of interesting things that he's got up to in his career. How many Dumble amps have you tried? Let me think. That would be none. I've tried Dumble amp sims, but you know, I mean, a Dumble amp, you know, it's. I've heard many records made with Dumble amps, but I've never actually played through a Dumble amp, and it's one of those bucket list things, isn't it? You know, did anyone see Rhett Shull's video recently on getting the Dumble sound? You know, it's really, I do like Rhett Shull's channel. He's, if you don't know him, he's an American guitarist, and sort of he's a bit of a mate of Rick Beato, and just a really nice, down-to-earth guy. And, you know, he was kind of talking about, you know, kind of that Robin Ford, Dumble kind of sound, and really informative video. Where are we? Who is your favourite guitarist? Oh, dear me. Overall, I would probably say Gary Moore. Here's my top 5, just off the top of my head. Gary Moore, Eric Clapton, round about the Layla period, Hank Marvin, Robin Ford. How many is that? Was that 4? And if I had to pick another one, probably Eric Johnson. A knockoff called a Dumbledore amp built by J.K. Rowling. Yes, indeed. Fair enough. Chicken Picks 2.0 improved your picking. Well, fair enough. Evening, Kenny. How are you, mate? How's life on Songcrafters? Yeah, Craig, Eric Johnson. I mean, I got to tell you that one album, Via Music On, you know, the one with Cliffs of Dover on it. It's, if you're looking for a perfect guitar album, then, you know, it's just, there it is. I mean, what can you say? It's just, and the only problem he's got with that album, really, with Via Music On, is that I don't think any album he's ever done, either before or since, is a patch on that. He set the bar. I think that was his second album, and he set the bar so high with that album that it's like, well, where do you go from there? But, you know, just on the strength of that one album, he's you know, he's just an absolute guitar god, isn't he? His last album's better, is it, Steve? I haven't heard that one. I shall have to check him out. You know, it's, you know, it just, he's such a, I mean, the thing is, I saw him actually, not live, but on a DVD, one of those Eric Clapton Crossroads benefit gigs DVDs. And you expect him to be kind of doing all of the kind of shred, kind of four-fingered sort of stuff around the neck, and he just isn't. He looks like just this. He wandered on stage, you know, with his Strat in a cardigan. He looked like he looked like a bloke you would meet down the pub, and just doing the old kind of blues guitar kind of fingering kind of thing, mainly 3 fingers. And you think, how is this guy playing like that? You know, it's a similar experience to me was like, I was very lucky. In about 1990, I saw Jeff Healey play at Newcastle City Hall. Now, there was a player, God rest his soul. And I saw Jeff Healey, and just that kind of thing of seeing a guy playing the guitar across his lap like that, it was the nearest I can imagine, the nearest I can describe it is saying it was like watching water running uphill. It's just like, it didn't compute with, you know, watching this guy playing so unconventionally and hearing the sounds that you heard. And what a show he put on. He was on for about, in my mind, it was about 4 hours. It was certainly longer than your average gig. You know, you just couldn't get him off stage. He was just having so much fun. Yeah. Fans taking, this is Eric Johnson, people taking pictures of his pedal board was odd. Yeah, Gary Moore, actually, I remember reading an interview with him, you know, and he was saying he stopped playing Parisian Walkways for many years as part of his live set. He said because he could see guys in the front row with stopwatches timing that note, you know, that long bend he does in the middle, you know, kind of timing to see how long it kind of lasted that night. And he thinks, I've got to retire that song for a while. Have I ever taught somebody guitar who was severely sight impaired or blind? Yes, I have. Many years ago, one person, and it was, you know, it was a case of we had to do it by feel. You know, it was you know, kind of feel your way along the frets and feel your way up the string, treating it like a grid, because that's essentially what the neck of a guitar is. You know, you got strings going in one direction, you got frets going in the other direction. You can kind of feel your way there. And, you know, it was, I mean, admittedly, the guy wasn't interested in becoming, you know, a rock god lead guitarist. He just wanted to strum some songs for his grandchildren. And, you know, we managed to get him there. What's that, Johnny? I'm mainly three fingers, but I've squashed about half an inch off me little pinky. Well, fair enough, mate. Yes. The guy in Spinal Tap, indeed. Anyway, chaps, we've been on an hour, I've just noticed, and I've got my evening sustenance, my evening meal turning up from the kebab shop shortly. So I'm going to call time on it for this evening. Thank you once again for everyone for turning up. As I say, it really is humbling that you all kind of just show up here on a Friday and, you know, kind of have a beer with me. It's massively appreciated. Thank you everyone for turning up. But for now, I will say stay tuned for the next video, which will be coming up in the morning, well, lunchtime tomorrow. And for the moment,
time, gentlemen, please.
Thanks for everyone. I'll see you all next time. Have a great weekend and enjoy the rest of your beers. Bye for now.